talk about Mishima, stencils, and screen printing. So Mishima is the easiest one, so I'm going to just go ahead and do that. Mishima is a glaze inlay, but I'm going to show you how to do it using only greenware. So usually if you draw on something, you know how you do the inlay with clay after bisque firing, yes? Sound familiar? Okay. So let's say I want to do that, but I might want my lines to be set before I do more glazing later on. So the original Mishima is actually where you would draw something. What was my symbol the other day? It was a heart. You would draw something into your tile. Pre-drawing should have happened probably. So let's say this is my design. I should have smoothed out this tile, made it look prettier. And there we go. Nice little design. That looks like it's upside down, isn't it? I'm going to rotate this so you're not looking at an upside down demonstration. Okay, better. All right, so you have your design. You have lines laid inside like this. And you want that to dry a little bit. So I would actually do this design and let it dry for a little bit, but you know, we have time constraints, so I'm gonna skip to the next step. So the next step would be to take underglaze and paint over the entire tile. So this is a little different with, when I do this on a bisque tile, I usually tell you to water down your underglaze. You don't need to do that for this. You just need to make sure it goes into the lines. And again, if your clay is like a leather hard, it's going to work better. You can even kind of do this with bone dry clay. So I'm making sure that it's going into the lines, and hopefully this will work well enough. I'm going to let this dry for a little bit before wiping it off, but I'm going to be wiping this off before I fire it. So I'm going to set that one aside. That's Mishima. We'll get back to Mishima. Next is using stencils. So I have a bunch of stencils that are like professional stencils. Like they're made out of like a more of a plasticky material. Some of these have like just they're different shapes, things like this. They could be like a pattern. Some of them I have had made in class, like these are actually made with like old transparency sheets. And just using like the Cricut or the Cameo Silhouette stencil cutter. So, but these work about the same. So if you're going to use one of these stencils, I have 2 whole boxes of stencils up here that you can dig through. I have letters. I have all sorts of different things. Some of them are older. Some of them are new. Like, look at this little guy. This one is adorable. He's new. Okay, but if you want to use one of these stencils, it's very much like the paper resist. You're resisting anything where the plastic is, and you're just painting in where the stencil is. But what you would want to do is really connect it to your clay. So I like to use a roller. You can use your rolling pins, but if you're in class, you can use one of the printmaking sprayers. Just make sure if you get any clay on it to wash it off when you're done. But this really kind of compresses it into the clay. It should almost be like, make it so that the clay is kind of flush with the surface. And then using a wide brush, I'm going to paint over that. And normally I would let this dry for a little bit and put 2 coats on. So I'm going to set this aside and let it dry for a little bit. Oh, should have done this on a plate. Oh well. I'm going to go back to my Mishima and see if that's dry to the touch yet. It's almost dry to the touch. Dry to the touch is really where you want to be. Yeah, that works. And then I'm going to take a sponge and I'm going to wipe off the surface, cleaning my sponge in between every time. And some of this will come back. A lot of it has just like clay kind of over it. You don't want to wipe too much though. But now I have those lines inlaid, so when I fire it, these lines are already going to be black, and then I could add more glazes on top of it. But also it kind of smooths it out a little bit. If this had dried more, I might have done a little bit more like strategic wiping, but I don't want that clay to mix in too much. The more dry this is when you do the wiping off, the less the clay kind of mixes in. So just some pro tips here. Let me go back to my stencil here and put another coat, and then I'm going to show you guys screen printing. All right. Okay. So I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. And then screen printing. So screen printing on clay is the thing. I've got, these are the stencil boxes. I've got some silk screens. Silk screens. I've got a few in here. They look like this. These work on clay. There is a dark side that is a little bit shinier, and then there is a lighter side. You want the dark side to always be down. Dark side down. I also have stencils of animals, and these are labeled. So like this one, this screen print has the word butterfly on it, and that's how you know this side up. So if I want to do this, use this stencil, I would make sure that the butterfly, the name butterfly is facing up. And all you have to do to use a screen print is take your glaze and add silkscreen medium. So let me show you that silkscreen medium, a little powder. And here's how much, please watch so you know how much to add. You take a pinch and sprinkle it in. That looks good. And then you mix it together. This thickens it up and it just makes it work better for pushing through those silk screens. So I don't have a ton of underglaze in here, just a little pinch of that silkscreen medium. And you want to mix it until it looks pretty close to normal again. It might be a little bit chunkier. And then, let's say I'll do part of both here. I'm going to paint over where my design is, like that. And then I'm going to rub it in. I'm going to hope it works, because I haven't used these silk screens in a while, so hopefully they're still good. Sometimes they get a little worn out. And there it is. So immediately after using, if you are done with this, if someone else is going to use this same silk screen, let them use it. You can use this a few times. You know, I could use this 5 or 6 times and then be done with it. But if I'm done with it, I'm going to put it immediately into a bucket of water. Just when you're done, bucket of water. And that way, when I take these out later, they'll be ready to go. If you are silk screening on the back counter, you see that big blue bucket that's filled with water, so you can just put your silk screens in there to soak. Okay, and then either I will have somebody help me with that later, or I'll clean them off. So, and then I have a bunch of different little silk screens with the easy. These are called easy screens. See, I'm going to find the dark side. And then I have this Sweet Bob Ross print here, because of course I do. And I can paint a little here. Same process with these. You just need to remember the dark side goes down. Or I could do a different color. I didn't do a different color. Oh well. You do have to add that silkscreen medium, and then you're not going to want to use this again. Once it has the silkscreen medium in it, you're done. There's Bob Ross. And so I would then put this in the bucket of water. But this, use it all up. I'll have some extra cups for you to put a little bit of underglaze in to mix with the silkscreen medium. If you want, when you get to this point, maybe share it with someone else so that way you don't waste it. But once it's got that silkscreen medium in it, you don't want to use that like as regular underglaze. So it's done. So you're just going to be pitching the cup when you're done with it. So I will have some cups ready for you to use. And then I would put this in that bucket. This is really way too small, so I'm just going to put the part that I used. That's silk screening. All right, and then to go back to finish this up, to my stencil, take that off, super cute. Wash off my stencil now. This is just a sponge and water to wash it off. Make sure you wash off any stencils I use. But now I've got stencils, silk screening, and Mishima. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, so you are able to use any of those processes now.